This is a bonus sound design tip. I wanted to include this in here so that if you start making your own basses or manipulating your own bass presets, you know exactly what is happening within Vital to get the best sound you can. So feel free to skip this if you're not interested in the sound design and head over to episode number 2. That's absolutely fine. But I'm just going to show you how easy and quick we can set this up. So first things first, I'm going to load in a new oscillator and I'm just going to copy this one up here so we have the same. And I'm going to turn down the phase randomization to 0 so we have a static phase point. And you can see this one's at 80 and that is because it had a little bit more punch at that point. But you might think differently about your own track. You might want a different sound, then you can choose a different phase point. So let's just have a listen to how that sounds. So can you hear the difference there? The shifting of the phase makes it sound sharper and snappier, and the other one makes it sound really long and sort of long-winded. So that's the first part. So the second part, I'm going to set this to the filter 1. And you can see I've got this set to a certain position. If we just click on there, you can see 186.7 Hertz, and that is the starting point on a 12 dB analog. Key tracking is set to 100%. Now key tracking is where the key is pressed, the filter will follow. So if we press it here, you can see it'll open up to a certain point. But if we press it up here, it's going to open more and open less down here. So it's following where the keys are and opening the filter relative to the key. So key tracking is an essential part of that sound design. Resonance is at 0, just to note, so we don't get any sort of artifacting. And then on the envelope 1, which is our master envelope, we turn the attack down to 0. It'll come like this by default. You can still see it says 0.000, but we can turn it down just to make sure we're getting the hardest hit possible, and that's all we need to do. Then LFO1 is the shaping tool. So you can see this is how I've shaped the bass, and we can infinitely change how this bass is. So I'm going to set up another one so you can see exactly what this is like. I'm just going to copy this one. I'm going to use LFO5 because this is free. And if we go back to LFO1, you can see I've got it in 16ths. So it's the length of the note before the next one's hit. That's how we're working in this particular one. And it is in envelope mode. So we're setting up a separate envelope. And I'm going to set this to 16ths and turn off smoothing. Let's have a listen to how that sounds. Of course, we need to attach this. So I'm going to attach this to the level, turn the level down, and I'm just going to turn it back to where that level was set, which is about there. And now we can shape this up. So if you want a longer note, shorter note, you can really get nitty and gritty with this, whereas the envelopes, you've just got the decay and sustain. We have infinite points on here. You can make as many as you like to get really nitty and gritty with your sound design. So that's really the reason why I'm using the LFOs. You can see I've used a couple more here. If you look at that, it's attached to the filter cutoff. We've got roughly a very similar shape, but we've just changed how the filter reacts. And then this one is for creating click. So LFO3, if we look at what that's attached to, is the cutoff. So it's letting the cutoff open a little bit more. So we've got a nice stab at the beginning. And you can see these are all in 16ths. And we can see LFO4 is the transpose. So if we look at oscillator 1, just turn this back on, you can see it is spanning 48 semitones. That's 4 octaves, I think. And that is providing some click at the start because we've set that to seconds mode and we've done 0.018 of a second in speed for that to hit. So it'll create a nice little pitch shift really quick and it'll give you a really nice stab at the beginning of your sound design. And that's all you really need to know to get that bass sitting really nicely. 0 phase, change your phase position. 0 sounds great for this one. Make sure that we have an upwards ramp. That's another thing that I didn't mention. It just works better, but experiment with different ones. But the upwards ramp sort works a lot better. And LFOs, especially in Vital, are much more responsive and much more accurate than they are as just the envelopes on their own. And plus we have, like I said, more points to enable to get really nitty gritty with the sound design. But don't go too crazy. You can see I've just got 3 points there and I'm just shaping it how it sounds when it's playing. So there we have it. That is an insight into how the basses are made. Really, really simple. I wanted to really stress how simple they are, and using LFOs over envelopes is a definite must in Vital because they are much more responsive and accurate.